it is only fair that the new government is also allowed the right, to review some of the decisions that will be taken around this time. And that is why, in that same spirit, at the first meeting of the transition team, the joint transition team, it was agreed that some of these decisions will be brought before the transition team for advice before action is taken. And so,
but I think the governing side quite disagreed with that. That wasn't really the position. They said some things will be looked at, but not to be brought to the transition for approval, more or less.
No, I didn't say approval. I said that it will be brought to the attention of the joint committee, and where there is a need for advice to be given. That's why we even have the council
the council,
the
speakers.
That is part of this transition team. So you are told that where there are disagreements, between the joint transition teams on a matter, it goes to the council, and the advice of the council becomes binding. And so there was an agreement that some of these things will be brought to the attention of the transition team, not necessarily for approval, but it will be brought to their attention. And once it is brought to their attention, they will have an opinion. And if the opinion is aligned with the decision that the government wants to take, then you will have no issues. But where there are disagreements, you can bet that it will be escalated to the council level, and the advice of the council perhaps will be binding. But even that, the president has executive authority, and so he can still override whatever the council advises if it is not in sync with what he wants to do. But then you should not also ignore the fact that the incoming president will also have the same executive power to reverse whatever the president is doing. So because you do not want to create a situation where decisions are made and reversed within a few weeks' time, it is better that you are transparent. It is better that you build consensus on them. It is better that you discuss them with open-mindedness and with fairness, and then the decision is accepted by all. So I do not think that the new government will be seeking to frustrate the last few days of this administration. But all we require is transparency. All we require is fairness. All we require is collaboration and cooperation. And I'm sure once that is done, it will make the new government take over much easier, and we will not have situations of unnecessary witch hunting. But let me assure the people of Ghana that where there are witches, they will be hunted. I mean, that is why we have the Operation Oral. I mean, Operation Retrieve All Loot. And many of us are of the view, Salom, that we are at a crossroad in this country as far as our democracy is concerned. I mean, the confidence level in politicians in Ghana keep dropping, and it is only how we are able to ensure that we hold people accountable in this administration. I am sure that it is that which will restore the confidence to some extent in politicians. And so we do not take oral lightly at all. We think that oral is at the core of the survival of our democracy. We think that it has to be done to restore some level of confidence and hope in the Ghanaian, that people will not just loot and abuse state powers and go unpunished. There must be accountability at some point. And so even though we are seeking collaboration, cooperation, and transparency to ensure that people are not unnecessarily witch-hunted, the principle must be clear that if they are witches, they will be hunted.
Very well. Final words on all of this.
I'm not happy about the wizards not being mentioned.
Because there are a lot of them. I agree with you.
Yeah, saying witches alone, but that wizards.
Well, I was using that.
We need to be gender balanced. You know, the transition team, MPP, did well. We have, I think, more women than the NDC. Anyways, I think that in concluding, I would only plead that both parties act well and do right by the people, in the sense that it's not easy to let power go. And though we've lost the election, I know it's a painful transition period for handing over executive power to another party. But I think both parties committed to one thing, to do it with respect. I believe that, for instance, all the nurses who are now getting enrollment are not necessarily MPP or NDC. They are Ghanaians, and they are going to be attending to Ghanaian patients. You know, likewise, those in the security services will be attending to Ghanaians. And I think that two wrongs might not necessarily make it right. I was watching Kwachi speak about the fact that Safo Mahafo made some damning statements during the last transition. If it was wrong then, it is wrong today. Now. And I would hope that the NDC will pay particular attention to the fact that some things that we did, which some of us thought were wrong, has bitten us, and they should learn from that. And should they repeat what was wrong when we transitioned from the NDC in 2016 to the MPP? If it was wrong then,
it's wrong today.
It's wrong today, and I would hold them to that high level, standard, quote unquote, of accountability to do the things right during the transition.
So that's why I make the clarification that the issues will be discussed and determined on case-by-case basis. It is not a blanket, you know, position.
Very well.
Everything done will be reversed.
But I want an appointment.
Let me take a final word from Frank.